Welcome to the Play Sound Podcast, everybody. Boom, 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 boom. We are very excited about this. This is huge. It's huge. It's a big day.
It's a big day.
It's
big 24
April
hours.
1st. April 1st. Chris, I have to be honest with you. I like mixed up the day and I set an alarm for like 7 a.m. Central Time this morning on my Nintendo Alarmo, and I woke up and I'm super stoked, and I went out and I like started making myself bacon and eggs. I made some breakfast tacos, and I turned on the TV to look for the like pre-show thing, and there was nothing. And then I looked it up again, and I was like, of course they're not gonna do it on April 1st.
Why would they? That would be silly.
I'm the joke. I'm the joke.
Yeah, no, I thought for some reason it was Tuesday, that the Direct was Tuesday as well, and it wasn't until somebody mentioned there was like a work thing on Monday, which was the 31st, and I knew the presentation was on the 2nd, and so it finally clicked to me like Thursday or Friday of last week that, if Monday's the 31st, then the 2nd can't be on Tuesday, but I really did think it was on Tuesday as well. I don't know why that was.
You know, I'm no less excited. It just built the hype more.
Yeah.
Especially because you and I have been trying to talk about this dang thing for the last, 2 weeks. I had the flu last week. You had soccer every day of your life.
Every day.
You play for Austin FC. That's why you have the shirt.
I'm training. I have 2 of these, and that's how you know I'm on the team, is because they're just giving this stuff to me.
They are. For $39.99. No, actually, it's kind of cool. I haven't worn this shirt. I've worn it maybe once just around the house, but I actually got this in the Nintendo store in Kyoto, and I figure I'm not going to take it off now until after this thing. So I'm going to stink by tomorrow.
That's awesome.
It is.
But
love a good stench.
We love a good stench, and like you said, we've been trying to talk about this for a couple of weeks now. We've talked about it a lot, and especially more so on record months ago. But since then, we've had really a lot more, I think, come out about it, and there's a lot more expectations and kind of understanding of what we're going to get tomorrow and the form of the presentation, and it's exciting.
We had that super underwhelming hardware direct where they didn't really announce anything. They just kind of showed it to be like, hey, this exists.
Yeah.
Get hype. It's
after so many accessory leaks and whatnot, they're like, fine, this is what it looks like, and you can do mouse things with the Joy-Cons. We hope you're happy.
They didn't even say that. They just alluded to it. They didn't officially confirm that. They have it on its side, but they did. I don't know.
It was even less than what we thought. Yeah.
It was. But since then, they've released more. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, they released images on the Nintendo Today app. Which, do you have this yet?
No.
Did you download this? No. My guy, there's gonna be something tomorrow. But it's an app that you can actually look at the Nintendo news, and they're putting trailers on every day.
Ooh.
So you and I are old enough to remember all of the Smash dojos, right? For the Wii U and even the Wii, I think they did it for Brawl. Where every day, and they definitely did it for Ultimate, they would release Masahiro Sakurai, the director of Smash Bros, creator of Kirby, would release a little bit of news, just a little bit, and keep you hooked. Keep the claws in you. And I remember sitting at my job at 6 a.m. waiting for it to refresh the summer of 2013 or 2014, and just scrolling up, and it was NES is announced, and I got so hyped. So I'm excited that they're doing that again.
I do remember sometimes I wasn't sure when you started talking about it, but sometimes it was just information that didn't make such a big deal, but then other times, like you said, it was a character announcement or something. You're just like, what?
I know.
It was so cool.
But here we are. We are less than, at this point, less than 12 hours away.
Less than 12 hours.
As of the time of recording. This is going to go up probably a few hours before. I'm gonna get it on YouTube, my guy.
I could go to sleep, and then I could wake up, and it will be time to watch it.
It will be.
I won't be able to go to sleep.
we gotta hop on Discord
because it's earlier.
Maybe we hop on this. Maybe we do a live reaction.
I'm free to do that. The thing, if we were to do that though, and we would need to be able to somehow figure out we're watching the same video source. Someone would have to share it.
Oh yeah.
And then just to make sure the other person's like watching it at the same time, but it's possible. Technology.
The hype is so real now. Oh my god. I'm like, my palms are sweating, my knees are weak, my arms are heavy, and we're gonna talk about everything related to the Switch 2 and what our hopes, dreams, and expectations are. So
it has been 8 years since the last Switch unveiled itself to the world.
I think it's really fun that we're doing this again before the Switch 2, because we did this before the Switch 1.
That's true. 8 years ago.
8 years ago. We actually podcasted the same night before the Switch 1 actually came out. I guess it was, not before the reveal. But you and I podcasted, and we were talking about all of the reviews of Breath of the Wild as they were coming out. And if I was always going to get it, but if I remember correctly, that's when you decided to, and you like went out and bought it the next day, and we both like found, I got mine at like a Target in Cleveland whenever I was living there. So crazy. Yeah, I was a little torn as to whether or not I wanted to buy a console for one game, and lo and behold, I did it, and it was great, and it was the best decision. And yeah, I'm super excited for this. I am kind of a little curious without diving too much into it. I'm kind of in the same boat this time around. I'm a little unsure as to whether or not I want to get it. Just a little not sure what games are going to be out, what the time frame of everything is going to look like. But yeah, we'll get into that here a little bit. We'll speculate. Ye of little faith. Ye of little faith. Chris, I'm excited to get into talking about this because I think we have some crazy things coming. I think there are going to be more eyes on Nintendo tomorrow than there have been since the launch of the Switch, and I think we're going to get big news. So, like they said in South Park on one episode, the world is watching, Mr. Marsh. The world is watching. And as it does, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's start with the hardware, because I think there's a lot of rumors and speculation and things about the hardware that we don't know. There's some stuff that we do know, like it is going to have a mouse feature. They talked about it a little bit, alluded to it, but like I think there's more to it. And so I want to start out actually with something I think is going to be related to that. And related to overall functionality, and this being like a significantly more online console, and that's the C button. I have my thoughts, but I'm curious what you think about it, because I've seen some leaks. I have not seen any leaks, and I have not seen anything really outside of what my own thinking of it is, and my initial impression. And what I have, because again, I haven't really looked too much into it, my initial impression and thoughts on it still are just the fact that it's a capture button. It's just, you press it in, it gives you the ability to either take a photo or take a video. That's all I was like, I'm not reading too much into this, but I thought that's what a C button, I thought we had that, don't we have that on the Switch 1? It's not a C button, it's just like a capture button, is what it's called. Yeah, I think it's different. Okay. The rumor is that there is this new feature on the Switch 2 called Campus. And that is like their big online functionality, right? Oh, okay. Like we're bringing back the Miis? Not necessarily like the Miis, but more of like... more akin to like Street Pass on the DS, or even closer to like Xbox Live, or the way that you communicate with each other on Discord with like a Me-like functionality. So the idea that people are talking about on the interwebs is that the Campus feature is going to be a button that you press whenever you want to play with friends, whenever you want to like look at who's online and see who you want to talk to, whenever you want to go to this virtual plaza and like figure out with your friends what types of games you want to play or what games they have. And my speculation is that it's going to be tied to an achievements feature, similar to what Steam has, what Xbox has, and what PlayStation has. I hope so. What do those things have? An achievement feature. Oh, like the ability to unlock achievements and like get trophies. Nintendo doesn't have that. Yeah, I forget. Which is wild in 2025 that they don't have it, because I feel like that's something I don't know how you've felt about this. Back in the day, I was such an achievement junkie on the Xbox. I wanted all of them.
Yeah, it's always been something that I feel a sense of accomplishment when I get it, but there's only been a 5 to maybe 10 where I've looked at it and said, okay, I really want to try and get if I'm going to do this, I'm going to try and get every trophy or every achievement in a game. And there's only been, like I said, maybe 5 to 7 or 8, really, more realistically, that I've really thought about it. So mostly it's not something I look into or think about a whole lot, but it is something nice to have. Like I said, you do feel a bit of validation whenever you see that like little icon pop up after you do something in a game, and you're just like, oh cool, like let me check out what was it that I just did. And or maybe you know what you did and you're like, finally I got it,
I got it. Yeah.
And so that would be really cool if they brought that into the Switch 2, made that a feature.
I think it's likely just based on this. I know that you're not as plugged into maybe the retro game or retro handheld scene as I have been over the last few years, but there are ways on like my Anbernic Nintendo or Game Boy SP looking thing to get achievements on retro games. Like you can get achievements for Pokemon or Mario or Zelda, and I think Nintendo probably wants a piece of that pie. So to couple that with all of the like hopefully extensive virtual console that we get at the start and all these new games, I think is going to be just gigantic.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That certainly beats my capture button theory, but that'd be pretty sweet. I like the idea, especially if they call it campus. I want to go back to school, hang out on the lawn.
Well, I think it's genius. Yeah, well, Pitt didn't really have that. Penn State did.
Yeah.
So, but I think that what works about it is that it is a name, if it's true, that helps bring people back and make them feel nostalgic without really knowing what they're nostalgic for. So this is going to be something that I'm keeping my eye on tomorrow, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, it's definitely something they're going to show. I feel like, I'm not sure what other, obviously we're going to get shown kind of all the different features. I don't think they're going to show, in terms of hardware, I don't think they're going to show too much of what's under the hood. I feel like you're going to have to watch someone break it down day one of when the console launches and just take it apart on YouTube and be like, oh, that's what's under here. Yeah. But I think we'll see, all the different functionalities of the Joy-Cons. Obviously, whether or not we get an OLED or LCD screen, which I think they're gonna.
I think it's LCD.
I think it is too.
What they've said.
That hurts a little bit to me because obviously I think we both have OLED switches. The idea of going from like an OLED switch back to an LCD screen switch, I'm like, that's kind of a bummer. But I mean, I'll play it probably on the TV most of the time anyways, so.
Same, and on top of that, I think the reason that they went to the OLED Switch in the first place was because they didn't want to update the internals and update the hardware. Mm-hmm. They updated the battery, and they updated the screen, but none of the internals of the Switch have been updated since 2016. And so I think that they can release this and then say, like, hey, we have a bigger screen than you've ever had on a Nintendo handheld, and it's bigger, or it compares to the Steam Deck, or it compares to, like, I don't know, the Asus ROG. The Steam Deck is the big one, I think. And I think that it gives them the ability to either down the road, or my big hunch that no one has really been talking about, I think there's going to be a Pro with a bigger battery and an OLED, like a Switch 2 and a Switch 2 OLED at launch. Why not?
Ooh, okay. That's a prediction. That's how you heard it here first. I didn't really consider that. Mostly because I think, when you look at Pro consoles, you're looking at, just historically, you're looking at something that comes 2 or 3 years down the line, something that's, kind of prolongs the current gen console a little bit. So yeah, but I would appreciate having a OLED console at launch. How much do you think, just to jump right into it, how much do you think we'll call it the base Switch 2 is going to cost?
I think
$399.
You think $399?
If it's a base Switch 2, it's got to be $399. I really don't think they even go $450. I think that would be the highest, but they can't possibly charge $500. And I don't think it's going to be any cheaper than $400. Maybe $350. But I really think $400 is a good betting point.
I would love $350. If it's $350, I think people will scream from the rooftops. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I think the challenge behind all of that is this is newer hardware. It's not that much more powerful from what rumors are saying from a Steam Deck. But a Steam Deck is
it going to be more powerful than a Steam Deck?
I think it's probably going to be comparable, but also play a little bit better because Nintendo is typically more optimized in the same way that like an Apple phone, even though it's not as good as like a Pixel, might be more optimized because more people are using it. So I think that's like going to be the trade-off. But I think 400 is I think 400 is likely. 350 would be great and exciting. Yeah. 400's likely. I don't think that I think it's possible we see 450 and people are like, whoa, but it's done in an intentional way to like deter scalpers because that's been such a huge issue with technology lately. And the people who really want it and get it, but it comes with like a pack-in game.
Oh, okay. That's
so. I don't know. I think 450 is likely, and then it comes with like Mario Kart 9 or 10 or whatever they're going to end up calling it, and then Switch 2 Sports, as an example. Mm-hmm. But I think 500 is out of the question. I think if there's a Pro model, I think it's 500.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think if they do come out with a Pro model, you're looking at an easy. Okay, base is 400, Pro is 500.
Yeah.
This just makes sense, and yeah, but yeah, that's my
thought. I mean, we'll know more tomorrow, but I think people will like go insane if this is more than $450 for the base model.
Same. Like, I mean, because you're packing. I mean, if you're charging $450 and what's in the box is your console, your 2 Joy-Cons, your dock, and then your power and HDMI cables. I think that's really all you're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it's comparable to the Steam Deck,
which is 400, by the way. If you buy a Steam Deck from like Walmart, from somewhere else, if you buy it, the base level's 400 for the LCD with 256 memory. And then the OLED is 550 with 512 gigabytes. So, possible, but unlikely. I think if it's more expensive than a Steam Deck, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So let's see here. Looking through the notes, campus feature check. Well, oh shoot. See, the problem is I don't like the Google Docs, like, all white screen, so I copied all of the notes into Notepad, but there's no indentation on any of this. And so
I'm on it.
I'm just like...
Connecting your own mouse. If there is a Joy-Con with a mouse... If
is good.
There will be. I think it would make sense for Nintendo to put out their own mouse. I can't imagine them not doing this because if you're going to have a mouse attachment that you can use to play games, you might as well allow people to use an actual mouse to play those games. That makes it really tough for like first-person shooters to keep things equal. But if you have a proprietary thing and everyone has this thing that you can use and plug in, I think it would be a little bit ridiculous for them to not allow it.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't really think of that. I mean, like obviously the Joy-Cons being like having mouse functionality has been like a probable and known thing, but yeah, the ability to connect your own mouse is interesting. They kind of have to support that.
In line with that, the next note that I have is about the Pro Controller, which I think the Pro Controller is going to be detachable because it's such an important thing to have like your mouse ready to go. But I think it's going to be like a higher DPI, and that's something that they can talk about is like, hey, this is a more ergonomic controller made for people who are older, who have like bigger hands, who aren't kids playing with Joy-Cons. And it's going to have a higher DPI for people who want to play more seriously.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about the upgraded DPI, but I did see something that, I guess patents for a Pro Controller design were filed somewhat way back when. I just saw someone talking about it the other day, and like you said, the breaking apart really kind of went a little over my head because when I think of the Nintendo Switch 1 Pro Controller, I can't imagine that breaking apart at all.
I know.
It's like the idea of just breaking a controller down the middle and just have it come apart into two. It almost like looks like you're breaking it. like I just won't be able to. It'll take some getting used to being able to hold it, and then I'll snap it, and I'll be like, what have I done? $75 down the drain. And so I thought the design of it was particularly funny, but it also makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe they also just have like a specific Pro Controller like the Switch Pro Controller, which I hope still works with the Switch 2, by the way. It's one of my all-time favorite controllers. There's nothing wrong with it. It's great. And the way that PlayStation and Xbox have both done it, where you can use an Xbox One controller on an Xbox Series, or you can use a PlayStation 4, a DualShock 4 with a PS5, depending on the game. I think that's super, super cool, super consumer friendly. That's not usually Nintendo's MO, but maybe it happens.
With that being said, do we think Switch 1 Joy-Cons are going to work on the Switch 2? Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense.
I think for certain games, yeah.
They got to be basically the same thing. We're getting the same buttons, they almost have the same design. I wouldn't be surprised if for some reason they don't attach to the Switch 2.
No, I don't think they will.
But
no.
Yeah, it's a different design, but I'd imagine you still are able to connect them to it.
And it would make sense with how Nintendo's kind of like they've opened up their ecosystem. So I have a controller that is a third-party 8-bit do. I have a couple of those actually. One that's a GameCube controller that's wireless. One that's just a wireless controller that's kind of like a PlayStation or Xbox controller, but it's one of my favorites because it has a really good D-pad. If they're going to allow third-party peripherals to work, I can't imagine that they wouldn't allow their own things,
hardware
that are their own hardware that's sitting on the shelf. Like if I want to go play around a Mario Party and there's like a little bit of waggle I gotta do, and I have 4 people sitting around, I think it would be super strange for them to not allow me to go grab 2 more Joy-Con that I have sitting in my cabinet under my TV and just be like, hey, let's play.
Yeah,
depending on the game.
Yeah. I think most will support it, but yeah, I guess there could be some one-off scenarios here and there that for some reason or another don't. But
yeah,
good stuff.
Before we get to this I'm going to skip around a little bit, Anya. For upscaling games, we're going to get to this more when it comes to the games that we're hoping for, that we think are going to happen, that are rumored to happen. But there's probably going to be some innate internal upscaling like there is on PC. I have to imagine. So many of the games that came out for the Switch were 4K capable. And the Switch was actually able to output in 4K. It was never used. But it had the ability to output in 4K. Not a lot of people know that. I think YouTube or Netflix at some point were the only real ways that you could do that. I think that there is going to be some type of, on PC it's DLSS, Direct Learning Super Sampling, I think is what it stands for, where they use something within the graphics card to go in and upscale games or make them look better. I think there's probably going to be something along the lines of that for Switch 1 games. I also think they're just going to run better.
Yeah. It's just going to be better hardware. I mean, we would, I think, expect them to just run better. But then also, like you said, with the possible addition of upscaling, you definitely should be looking at some higher frame rates, especially if we assume the Switch 2 is going to run games at 60 frames most of the time. And,
I would hope.
And the Switch 1 was capped at 30.
There were some games toward the latter half of the Switch 1's life that ran like trash on the Switch 1. And I'm thinking, even going back to Pokemon Sword and Shield, but Pokemon, the newer ones, Scarlet and Violet, were just awful with frame rate dips. Even thinking about games I've played recently, like Princess Peach Showtime, there were times that game dipped to like 10 frames per second.
Ooh,
which
that's rough. I know Echoes of Wisdom had trouble as well, from what I've heard.
My thought is those were initially developed to be Switch 1 and Switch 2 games, and whenever they pushed the Switch 2 to go out, I thought this was coming out like a year and a half ago, and a lot of people probably did.
That's true. It feels like we've been on the wire for a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, maybe a lot of the kind of later games in the Switch 1's life cycle, like you said, were developed with the intent that, hey, these are going to come out in Switch 1, but they're also going to come out in Switch 2, and the expectation is, that they will run more optimally on the Switch 2.
We'll get to the games that we want that to be the case with in a couple of minutes. Before that, I'm Babe Ruth calling my shot right here, so I'm curious to get your thoughts on this.
If it's the next note in this, if it's the next line or note in this notes that we have, I'm stressed. I'm not stressed, but
all right. There are charging ports on both sides of the Switch 2. In the reveal videos, you can charge it from the top or the bottom.
Oh,
Thank
convenient.
God, it's so nice because you can finally take out the nice little stand and plug it in on the top. And it's not super annoying, and you can just play it wherever you want. I've wanted that for forever, and it's made my Steam Deck super nice to play, just like out and about. I think that the second USB on top is intentionally thick, and it's like an old USB-A, because I think on launch there is going to be a peripheral for a second screen that allows you to play DS and 3DS games and extends certain games to make them better, that works as a clamshell so that you can protect the screen, similar to a DS, but is tiny. Because Nintendo has been experimenting with this for so long. They have. Look back at the GameCube. Did you ever play a GameCube with one of the flip-up screens?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, I know what you're talking about. But I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
There's a GameCube with a flip-up screen that, from the time of like early in the GameCube life cycle, that they released. At that same time, they were playing around with stereoscopic 3D, and there's an actual demo of that on the GameCube where the screen flipped up and it had the 3D slider similar to the 3DS. They worked so stinking hard on that technology, and then they totally dropped it for the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a huge library of games ranging from Pokemon to Kid Icarus to Kirby to you name it, Fire Emblem, Animal Crossing, that people just have sitting around their house right now, and they're buying these games still to play on hacked systems so they can play online with their friends. Why not just make a second screen, you plug it in, use it as a clamshell, and you can put your 3DS and DS games into it to also play them?
Yeah. So I think this is great, obviously, because we need to keep 3DS games and DS games relevant. Like there's
Yeah.
gotta be like Nintendo has to do something in ways of having them available, even if it's not like, even if it's something similar to what they're doing with Nintendo 64 Online, or the SN, anything that where they have the games available online. It's like, okay, it's not the whole game library, but at least here are some titles that are available and there's a way to play them. And they came out with like the N64 controller and Super Nintendo controller, so it's like, hey, great, here's, if you want to play these as they were intended or how they originally were, great, here's the controller to do that. Here's kind of the emulated game on your Switch. I mean, this thing would be but in more of a practical sense, if we added the second screen, this thing is huge. This thing is going to be, this is not like, the DS was made for a handheld. Like,
Yeah.
with two screens in mind, it was made as a handheld. The Switch 2 is already like handheld size plus some, and now you're adding an extra screen. The thing will be massive.
It will be, but I don't think that the screen is going to be that thick. I think like a textured plastic back that flips up or slides up and flips. I think it's such a good idea, and I think it's like such an opportunity for them to go out and recapture the nostalgia of that era, because now we're a console generation removed from that. There are kids that still have their games. It's not like whenever we were younger and we would have to get rid of all of our NES or Super Nintendo games. Like, a lot of people kept these. They're tiny.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
I think that it's such a good opportunity for them to bring that back. And not only bring that back, but like, if they sold me Pokemon X and Y, I would buy it immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. Yeah. Or like a Link Between Worlds, or some
Fire
of the
Emblem
games.
Awakening.
Fire Emblem Awakening.
That's
or
one of
even,
my favorites.
Even Echoes. Echoes was good. I think that there is such a big opportunity for them to take advantage of with that. I cannot imagine that not happening.
Yeah, So you mentioned the ability. Are you talking about Switch 3DS games, that the games that people have lying around at their house, like these will plug directly into the Switch 2? Or is
not
it just
directly into the Switch 2, but the screen has a reader for them,
Oh,
so you
okay.
have to have the screen plugged in to play it.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That'd be nuts. I mean, that's like one of those things. Oh man, that's tough because, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many 3DS DS games you have lying around, but if they showed that off, I would be. I mean, I'd have myself beat up before the presentation was over. I'd be just wailing on me, just constantly, Chris, you dumb piece of crap, you stupid turd.
Did you get rid of all of yours?
Yeah, I got nothing. I got none of that. And the running joke being that I've had like 8 3DSs in my life because I just would buy one and then not play it, so I got rid of it or sell it, and then I would buy another one, like convinced that I was going to play it again, and then I somehow got rid of all of them, and then I also don't think I really have any games lying around either. I think I might have a new Animal Crossing 3DS game, but that's the only one I can think of.
Well, then you're going to be disappointed in what I'm about to say. I have an extra Animal Crossing because whenever I bought a 3DS from some college kid in Austin, it came with like Lego Batman and Mario Kart 7, Super Smash Brothers 3DS, and I've just had all of them like sitting in my desk for all of this time, not being played. I have all of my old games too, for the most part. I haven't really sold all of them. I've kept them nice in their case.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You can't really see it on this podcast, but I have like I probably have like 30 3DS games just in their case still that are
nice,
just itching for a play-in, Chris. They want to be played. They're screaming.
That'd be cool.
Oh, play more. That being said, I do think that something that they could do that would be surprising and maybe even more likely, as I've been talking about this, would be in the dock, there's some hardware that you can beam your Switch from your couch, and your Switch that you're playing on your couch is the bottom screen like the Wii U, and what's on the TV is the top screen from a 3DS.
Whoa.
And I think that is super possible, and like I came up with that.
Good.
since we've been sitting here, but I actually, the more that I think about that, like, why wouldn't they do that?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Wow, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be really great. And again, even if they, obviously, if they supported the physical DS and 3DS games, next level, wonderful stuff. But then for people who may not have those games, even if they did kind of an additional Nintendo Switch Online component, I don't think they would bring these games back for purchase just based on how they currently have stuff set up. It's not like we have the virtual shop from back in the day, unless they wanted to bring that back. But
that's not really a part of the games here, but I do think that they just have to have a better eShop this time around.
Yeah, agreed.
The current iteration of the eShop, I think, is worse than what they had on the 3DS and the Wii U and even the Wii. And there's no way to really filter it. There's no way to go through and see like what's an indie game versus what's not. And it's why so many of these shovelware companies have like come up with these 99-cent or free like hentai games that people will buy because they're at the top of the charts. Nobody wants that. No. I want like Steam, like a Steam like interface.
Yeah, I agree. They definitely gotta do better, but
I think they will.
Yeah, I mean, even my biggest thing with the eShop was always that it just ran slowly. Like, it's like, you guys came up with this. This isn't like being ported from something else or something. Like, it just always felt like it was lagging, or it was slow to load certain pages, or
and it got worse.
The input was off. Yeah, it never got better. It only got worse. And so yeah, so here's hoping that they do better on the eShop this time around, and then also again, just to kind of drive back home the original point, maybe open it up to other games from other consoles, or again, just if they want to add to Nintendo Switch Online and just put available DS and 3DS titles on there, that would be really great. I mean, again, just going back to the second screen, that would be huge. That would just be like, it would basically feel like you're buying two consoles for the price of one and an extra screen. I'd be that's I feel like throughout this, especially once we get more into the games, I'm a little on the fence still about buying a Switch 2. I like, if we hypothetically we only get like Mario Kart and maybe some other third-party stuff at launch, like that's not enough to push me. If you show me a second screen at launch and that I'm gonna be able to play some DS and 3DS games right off the bat, sold.
Yeah,
absolutely sold. That's a winner.
Speaking of games that were big on the 3DS, let's get into games. Let's talk about what we think is coming and what we know is coming.
Yes.
You start, because I feel like you've got thoughts and opinions and things that you feel strongly about here.
Okay. So I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna hit the things that I think we're most likely to get, and which is why I'm a little deterred from this launch. But we can speculate, or if you have any additional comments on some of the other stuff on this list, absolutely come after. Mario Kart 9, 10, whatever you want to call it. They've shown the Mario Kart game.
15.
Where they've ruined Donkey Kong. We're gonna get to see the full vision of that.
They fixed Donkey Kong. They fixed him. This is the Donkey Kong we deserve.
It's not the one we want, though.
Look at his goofy ass eyes. It's so nice.
I don't care that much about it, but I do think the online discussion around it has been kind of funny. But yeah, I do think Mario Kart is a launch game. I think it's going to be, obviously, it's a huge multiplayer game. It's going to get people to buy it. The console, it's just one of the bigger Mario games. It's going to get people to play together and use whatever kind of online, local co-op play that is going to be available for the Switch 2. It's the first game that was shown for the Switch 2. This is an easy win for Nintendo. This will absolutely, I believe, be out launch day. So that's great. Everyone's happy. Who doesn't love Mario Kart?
What do you think the hook is going to be this time? Because there's always a hook.
Like the catch.
In Wii, they added bikes. In Double Dash, you could play as two people. In Mario Kart 7, there were like a bunch of new items, and it was like 3D dual screen for the first time. Mario Kart 8, it was like you have everything. This is like the ultimate experience. So what do you think the hook is?
I don't have any ideas right off the top of my head, and I haven't looked into it a whole lot, but I heard someone the other day say something about like pit stops and kind of giving it a more racing, like NASCAR or F1 kind of feel to it, which I don't know how that would really work. But yeah, I don't have a lot to add to this here. I think there's got to be something, but I'm not sure what it is.
I have an idea. It's a crazy one. It's crazy. I don't know if this could happen or not, but it probably could. I think like Super Smash Kart or like Super Nintendo Kart is going to be the name of it. And I think it's not just going to be Mario characters. I think it's going to be like everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I'd be kind of into that. So we're talking like, I mean, they're not going to just port over the Smash Bros. Roster. But...
Yeah, but a lot of those characters, like, can you imagine just racing as, like, Ganondorf versus Mario and, like, the memes that would come out of that? My God.
Yes, but I can also imagine racing as Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Now you've
That's
sold
tough.
me.
That's tough.
No. Maybe. But yeah, that'd be really cool though, is to kind of really open the series up to other characters the way kind of Smash Bros has.
Yeah.
I'd be into that. But yeah, so in terms of games, Mario Kart Day 1, it's got to be.
It's going to happen, without a doubt. It might even be a pack-in. I do think, I know we alluded to this earlier, I think there has to be a pack-in this time. Because if you look at the game that would have been a pack-in for the Switch, which was 1-2 Switch, people hated it. It was like a tech demo.
Yeah.
But then Wii Sports for the Wii was like so well loved.
It was generation defining.
And people felt similarly about Nintendo Land on the Wii U. I didn't get a Wii U at launch. I never got Nintendo Land. Mm-hmm. Disappointing. But I think there has to be a game that comes out with it. Do you think that's Mario Kart, or do you think that's something else?
I think I've seen stuff online that it will be a game that supports the mouse functionality.
Okay.
Or the mouse-like functionality, and it will be kind of it's going to be a first-party Nintendo game, but it's going to be kind of like a, ARMS was it called, or one?
Yeah, ARMS. ARMS was a game.
ARMS was a game. Like
it was certainly a game.
It will be something similar. It could be something similar to that. I don't think we get a pack-in game, but if we did, I don't think we wouldn't get like a Mario Kart pack-in until like the holidays. Yeah. I think this thing comes out, to kind of speculate on the release, I think it comes out late May, maybe we hit early June. But I think then by the time the holidays roll around, I do think we could see some sort of bundle that includes like a Mario Kart or something. Or if they have like a 3D Mario by then, maybe we could see something around that time. That's just my guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I do think there will be, whether it's a packing game or not, I do think we get something to drive, some kind of game to drive home the, hey, here's what the Joy-Cons can now do. Kind of, whether it's the mouse-like functionality, or if there's some kind of thing we don't, feature, something we don't know about, the game could kind of push players into using the Joy-Cons that way.
Oh my God, it's Mario Kart, but you can use the mouse to tickle the other racers.
That's what the second player's for. They bring
it's like in Galaxy, whenever you're getting all the stars, except you're just like making the other racers like not able to see straight.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we could get Mario Kart. There's going to be kind of a game to drive home the Joy-Con functionality. I think we could get. There's going to be some. I don't know if there would be any major third-party games that come out at launch, but just to maybe. I do think we have Final Fantasy VII Remake on this list. I've heard that's an easy win. I mean, we know the Switch. I mean, this remake was a PS4 game. We know the Switch 2 is going to be able to run PS4 games. This feels like an easy win. I don't know if that's a launch game or not, but Final Fantasy VII Remake is probably a for sure thing. And then the last...
Remake or Rebirth? I think both.
So I was a little... I'm a little skeptical about what the Switch 2 is going to be able to do game-wise. But as someone pointed out to me the other day, Rebirth can run on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And if Rebirth can run on the Steam Deck, then we would, ex post facto, I guess, expect it to be able to run on the Switch 2 as well.
Yeah.
So I think Remake might be the first to come out, but then Rebirth will follow here, probably within the year. It would be my guess. But initially I shook my head at the idea of the Switch 2 running Rebirth, and then again someone was like, "Well, it can run on the Steam Deck," and I'm like, "That's true. I guess okay, you got me." And then the last one I'll talk about real quickly here is we gotta be getting a new 3D Mario, right? Whether it's an Odyssey 2, whether it's a Galaxy 3, whether it's something new completely, we're getting. I feel like it's a toss up as to whether or not a new 3D Mario launches day one. Somebody mentioned kind of like the Switch did. Was the Switch came out in the spring? Switch came out in the springtime, but the Switch 2 will be out in the early summer. Odyssey for the Switch came out in the holiday time of the 2017, I guess it would have been. And so, yeah, I don't know if... I think the 3D Mario could probably hold off until the holiday time, but again, I'm trying to think of what... If the Switch 2 has Mario Kart, then they've got to give consumers something else in addition to Mario Kart. I don't think you can sell a console with Mario Kart alone.
Yes, I agree.
So.
What do you think this Mario game is like? Because I don't think that they just do like an Odyssey 2 or like a Galaxy 3. I don't think that makes sense.
We're too far removed. I feel like if we look at Galaxy 2 when it came out, I don't know when Galaxy 2 came out, but like I have to imagine that if we looked up when Galaxy 1 came out and then we looked up when Galaxy 2 came out, I can't imagine the time difference was 8 years.
May 23rd, 2010 was the second one.
Oh, okay.
And November 2007.
Okay.
So like 2.5-3 years.
So I think we're past the time for an Odyssey 2. I don't think Nintendo's just gonna buy back into Galaxy, so I don't think we get a Galaxy 3. Again, just there's too much time removed there. If they wanted to, they could bring back and make Galaxy or Galaxy 2 playable in some way to appease Galaxy fans.
But it is already with the well, I guess they don't sell it anymore technically.
Galaxy was, yeah.
But Galaxy was
the Nintendo, the Mario collection with Sunshine
3D All-Stars.
Yes.
So
I think it is something new.
Is it time for open world Mario? Is it time that it gets... Because usually whatever Mario does, Zelda kind of follows in its place, right? Like Mario went 3D, Zelda went 3D, but more adventure. This time, Zelda has kind of already done the like
3D
two
world.
open world outings, which are not that much different from the original Zelda games. But I feel like if we look at Odyssey and all of these different worlds that it had, it was still open world in each area, more so than other ones. I think, why not just expand that? I think that's what they'll do.
Well, we did get a little bit of open world too in, what was it, Bowser's Fury? The Super Mario Land 3D Land.
Did you play that? I have it, and I never opened it.
I meant to at one point, and then I never got around to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know if you were
me sending my like little brain spirals out.
No, that's okay. I love it. I didn't know if you were trying to catch a bug or something, or if that was just something to play on the Mario thing. But Okay.
No, I think that there has to be a 3D Mario. It's been rumored for so long. We're so far away from the last real 3D Mario in Odyssey. Like,
hmm
it's gonna
Let's
happen.
okay. To kind of take my not insecurity, but my indecisiveness on it, and then place it on you. New 3D Mario. Is it a launch day, launch window, or sometime, some other time?
I think the reason that some of these games, like Odyssey, came out after the launch of the Switch was because they didn't have a lot in the pipeline and they needed to like sell it through the holidays. I
Mm.
don't think that's going to be an issue. I think that they're going to have so many Switch 2 units that you're not going to be able to walk into a grocery store without seeing them. And I think that in line with that, they're going to have a bunch of games to keep people busy. I don't think that it is a release day game because I think they want people playing Mario Kart and probably, a new Zelda or Smash Bros or something else.
Mhm.
But I do think that it comes out, you know, if the Switch releases in May or like June, then I think that we get it in like July or August. I think it's like a late summer game.
Okay. We'll call it release window if that's
Mm-hmm.
the proper term. I'd agree with that. I think that's a really good point. That's maybe why Odyssey got pushed off, is there just wasn't a whole lot in the pipeline at the time, and they were trying to prolong.
And it
Kind
wasn't
of,
pushed off that much, right? Like I think it
yeah,
was like March or April the Switch came out, or maybe it was
March.
I don't was it
I think it was
March?
March. Yeah.
And then this came out like Odyssey came out in November, if
Okay.
I'm remembering right. So I think it'll be less time, but um, I think we're due for a new linear Zelda game. They've been testing the waters with remaking Link's Awakening and then doing the new Zelda. What's the name of that again?
Oh, the
Zelda
Echoes of
Wisdom.
Windows.
Ec-
Echoes of
Echoes of Windows. Yes,
Wisdom. Yeah.
Echoes of Wisdom.
I do like Windows though more.
They've been testing this for a while, and I think that we are probably at a point now where we are about to get a linear Twilight Princess type of Zelda game where they can control camera angles and like control the spectacle of it. And I think that's going to be the game that like releases with the Switch and shows the power of it.
I would love that. I don't want to get myself too excited, but like you said, they've got to give something else other than Mario Kart. If they're gonna launch it with Mario Kart, you gotta have something else, and a kind of like you're talking like a Twilight Princess esque 3D Zelda where it's a little more linear and
Yeah.
it's not totally open world, but it's 3D and yeah,
And
that'd be
it's
awesome.
not like it's been a long like it's been actually a fairly long time, more than 2 years probably to the date that they've released Tears of the Kingdom to a new Zelda game. And if they're making a linear Zelda, it's probably going to be done or it's been worked on because Tears of the Kingdom was a big game, but it was a reskin of Breath of the Wild. It didn't take as long to develop that as it took them to
Yeah,
create the whole world of Breath of the Wild.
yeah, for sure.
And so I think a linear Zelda that takes them less time, but that they can use to show off the power of the console and get like all of the hardcore people in, along with the Mario and Mario Kart people that are going to buy anything just because it's Nintendo.
Sure.
I think it's going to happen. I think it has to happen.
I think they stop being cowards and they just come out and they finally release Twilight Princess HD for a Switch console, and that's what they launch alongside Mario Kart. That's all I want.
Well, I think I think that's possible. I do think that we get GameCube, and if we get GameCube, like there's no reason that we don't get Wii because they're the same, essentially.
That's what I was kind of thinking, is that, hey, if we're gonna get, obviously GameCube Online has been rumored for a while now. I don't know if it's been confirmed really, but I know it's definitely been rumored. Obviously, we've seen GameCube controllers kind of in the works, I think, from Nintendo at some point. But there's been inklings or rumors of GameCube Online. And if they were to come out with GameCube Online, how long then does it take for them to come out with the Wii Online, or like Wii backwards library stuff?
Yeah.
That would be cool if they came out with it at the same time. Obviously, they're somewhat similar games, but you already have kind of the obviously you have with the Joy-Cons, you already have that Wiimote functionality, so there's really nothing, I feel like you have to do too much to utilize older Wii games for the Switch 2 or Switch.
Yeah. It's easy. And this is going to be like I think that this is going to be marketed as like the home of all Nintendo games, because people have been complaining about that for so long, whether it's been the 3DS or the Wii or the GameCube. There's always been like, oh yeah, you can buy a 3DS or you can buy a Switch and then you can play Game Boy games on it, or you can play NES or Super Nintendo or eventually N64. But where are these other consoles that like require a little more power? And it's like, well, you play them on your PC whenever you download them from like a website or you dump a ROM. And that's that. I think that like there's such a large market of people that if you told me I could go out and buy a game for $20 like Melee again, who wouldn't do that?
Yeah. It's at that point, like, I'll spend the $20 over the, and have the convenience of being able to play it on my Switch 2 rather than having to rig a home setup for it, that involves using the internet, and that involves using third-party controllers, and that involves using, my laptop plugged into an HDMI converter, all this different stuff. It'd be really cool. That would be really sweet if they finally just brought it all home and said, hey, here's everything. You got your DS games, you got your Wii games, you got your GameCube, you got all the stuff from the previous Nintendo Online catalog. That would be. Again, the presentation's 60 minutes long. Anything's possible.
It is. It is.
That'd be cool.
So that being said, with like GameCube games, I think we get GameCube games on release day with Nintendo Switch Online, with an updated version of Nintendo Switch Online, and I think the first one is going to be Melee.
That would be cool.
I think it's going to happen because I know for a fact that Sakurai has been working on a game. He retired after Smash Ultimate. He's like, I'm done, but he's been working on something. Yeah. I don't know if it was Melee. I do think we're going to get a new Smash, whether that's like Ultimate DX or like Ultimate, I don't know. I think we're going to get like how they got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch. I think we're going to get Smash with like more characters, more DLC, just more like stuffed full.
There's already so much stuff there.
I know.
You can't put more into Smash Ultimate. It's already Ultimate.
I think they do, but I think that is a game that comes out maybe next year, potentially. Whereas this year, I think we get Melee Online. And maybe Brawl, because why not? I love that game.
Give me Subspace Emissary. I'll play through that.
Yeah, online. We'll do it. We'll stream it.
I'll do it. That'd be wonderful. I would be like, that's worth the download of Brawl to just be able to play Subspace.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I agree. And Nintendo has started remixing a lot of these NES games and like releasing new versions of them. So who's to say that they can't do that with GameCube and Wii games? Give me Wario in Melee.
Yeah. That'd be interesting to add to, add characters to Melee, as opposed to just. I mean, the original roster was. I mean, I feel like Smash games have always had somewhat big rosters. Even going back to Melee, you look at all the unlockable characters that you could get. I always thought there was always a good slew of characters to be able to choose from. But yeah, that'd be interesting. I would really appreciate the GameCube Online being available day one, and even if they wanted to throw, I'm gonna keep talking about it. If they wanted to throw Twilight Princess on there, just give me. You know what? I don't.
Why not at this point?
I don't even care if it's HD or not. Just give me Twilight Princess on the GameCube Online, and I'm here for it.
But there is an HD version. It's gonna be an HD version. They've done it already. They have it HDified for the Wii U. So like, bring it to me.
I'm just bargaining. I'll take what I can get from these.
Sell your soul for it, Chris. Yeah. So I also think that there's the possibility that there is, I know I talked about like Super Nintendo Kart, but like maybe like a kart brawler, like something that switches it up a little bit, where instead of getting a new Smash or a new Mario Kart, we get like a game where you like fight as karts. I don't know. Something weird. There's going to be something like that.
Yeah.
Something
probably.
unexpected. Who knows?
That. Yeah. Okay.
Chris, we're due for a 3D Donkey Kong. It's been a long time.
Didn't they? Oh, they came out with a remake of one recently.
But that was
a
Donkey
port?
Kong Country Returns, and they've done Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Those are some of the best platformers ever made. Some of the hardest games ever made. They're super good, but that's not what I want. I want Donkey Kong 64, but better.
Yeah.
Give me Funky Kong. Give me Lanky Kong.
Give me Funky Kong.
Dixie. Absolutely. I want them all.
Funky Kong was an idol or model to me. Like he was someone
Oh,
I
yeah.
looked up. He was someone I looked up to as a kid. You know?
In my dojo, in my house, I have, where is he? He's like hanging out up here somewhere. I have like a Funky Kong stuffed animal that I've had for like years and years.
I was gonna say since you were a kid, I think because I think I've seen it. If it's the same one, yeah.
Yeah, in the 3 different places that you lived with me in, I've had this on display. I love Funky. But I think we're gonna get a new 3D Donkey Kong.
That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be into it. Again, if you give me Funky Kong, and then there was Donkey Kong 64. I'm not super familiar with Donkey Kong on the whole, but there were some cool, unique Donkey Kong characters in Donkey Kong 64 that just were obviously expanded outside of just Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong and the girl with the flying, swirling pigtails.
Dixie.
Dixie. Yeah. So I would love to see the gang get back together on a new 3D Donkey Kong. That'd be cool.
What do you think about Xenoblade? This is your territory. I haven't played the Xenoblade games.
Right. Yes, of course. So Xenoblade Chronicles, one of the best, greatest series of all time. I mean, and you can play them all on the Nintendo Switch. But you know what would be even better is if you could play them all at 60 frames per second on the Nintendo Switch too.
Because some of them look like trash, right? Like some of them are not. I mean, they look good, but they're not.
These are some of the greatest games of all time. They
and
do not look like.
Some of the best looking Nintendo games, they just don't run the way that they would if they were on another console, right?
Sure. But I mean, you could say that about a lot of games. I think I've always thought they ran well and looked good for being on Nintendo console. I love the games. I just think it would be really cool to maybe get just frame updates with them. You know, I think somewhere on this list here is Switch 2 versions of games. I think has been pretty much announced. I think very literally announced by Nintendo that there are going to be Switch 2 versions of games that are going to be supported on the Switch 2. So much like Grand Theft Auto 4 or Grand Theft Auto 5 exists as a PS4 game, you can also buy a PS5 version of the game. And so that's, I think, supposed to be the case here. That's what my takeaway is from them announcing Switch 2 games, is that, hey, yes, we have Breath of the Wild on Switch, but you can also maybe they do kind of an upgrade fee where they say, yeah, but if you want the Switch 2 version, which will run at 60 frames per second, have maybe upgraded or updated visuals, you can also buy the Switch 2 version for maybe $15 or $20. I don't know, whatever they decide to, or maybe it's a free update. I don't know. But I think that's all I'm asking for here with Xenoblade games is I think there was something in the files regarding the new one that just came out, Xenoblade Chronicles X, the definitive edition, that I guess allowed for it to possibly run at 60 frames per second. There was somewhere in the file someone found that. And so that would be really cool to be able to see if the Switch 2 could maybe just even run the definitive edition of X at 60 frames. But ideally, we would like to see, especially because the Switch, the original Switch, capped games at 30 frames per second. It would be cool to see a lot of Switch 2 version games give old Switch games the upgrade to.
Yeah.
I think Breath of the Wild was the most commonly known one. I think they were testing or demoing
I mean, you can play it on PC in 4K 60 FPS.
Yeah,
that
but
exists, which is nuts.
I think this was even something that Nintendo was showing off at one point, like a year ago, that it was like an updated version of Breath of the Wild. And so I think that's a day one thing where if they're trying to show off, hey, look at our new Switch 2, look at how well it can run games. Here's a Switch 2 version of Breath of the Wild. It's got updated visuals. It's got 60 frames per second. Lock. I think that's going to be really exciting for a lot of these games to go from the 30, to get the 60 treatment, as opposed to being previously played at 30. And that's what I would love to see for the Xenoblade games.
Do you think it's the same deal for Metroid Prime 4, where it comes out but so here's my question. If we look back at the history of Nintendo and like what they did with the Game Boy Color as an example, where there were some games that you could play on the Game Boy that also had Game Boy Color palettes whenever you played them that were enhanced by it. So do you think we have totally separate versions of these games? Because obviously, if you play Metroid Prime 4 on the Switch 2, it should run and look better. And if it doesn't, it would be crazy.
Yep.
But do you think you're going to have to get the Switch 2 version of that? Or do you think that you can get the Switch 1 version and it just automatically, like, you get a patch and it looks better?
So I think that's a great question. I think you'll have to... It depends on how they do it. I know, obviously, whenever PlayStation has released games, especially whenever the PS5 was coming out, we look at, I think, Horizon Forbidden West, for example.
Like Cyberpunk is another one.
Cyberpunk, you would, depending on the developer, I think it usually was where if they were the ones who kind of ultimately chose, hey, if you buy the PS4 version, you can upgrade for free. Some would make you pay a $10 or $15 upgrade fee. I think it just depends, but I have to imagine that, we're getting Metroid Prime 4 specifically, we're going to get a Switch 1 version, but then there's also going to be a Switch 2 version of the game that looks better, runs better, and whether they make you pay, like, to upgrade, will be a choice. I think they'll charge something. Well, maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. If you're already paying $60, if it's $60 on both consoles, maybe it's $70. We'll call it $60. If it's $60 on both consoles and it's all Nintendo, I imagine, hey, you've already paid for it once. I imagine they would just let you upgrade for free. But
hope so.
I don't know. That's my guess.
Or I would pay $5 for an upgrade. Like, I think that's the sweet spot for me. If the games are, if they somehow manage to make them still 60, I think they're going to go up to 70 for the most part. That they tested it with Tears of the Kingdom, and I think it's going to continue to be like some of these games are $70 now.
Sure.
But I think it's very possible that they give these games to us, and then they're like, for $5 more, you can upgrade to HD, or you can keep playing it at like regular Switch quality. Because I would do that.
That's kind of the thing. I think Metroid Prime 4 is a case of like, hey, it's coming out at the same time for Switch 1 users and Switch 2 users. Everyone's going to have to pay. Well, I guess, so if it's $60 on Switch, but $70 on Switch 2, there's your $10 right there. Is, hey, we see you buy it on Switch 1. If you pay the extra $10 that you would have had to get it on Switch 2, we'll give you the Switch 2 version for that $10. And they're going to get the difference from you there. I think that's pretty possible. I think a case with Breath of the Wild is interesting, though, because you have maybe, obviously Metroid Prime 4 is going to come out, at retail price. Nobody's getting a sale on it right away. But Breath of the Wild, people could have bought the game at like $30 or something. And so how much do they want to charge kind of those people to get a Switch 2 version of the game? Maybe it's just $10, or maybe the game has been out. The game has been out so long. The game has been out so long that they're just like, hey, we'll give it to you for free. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyone's guess. I think they charge I think they charge $10, but that's just a guess.
Cool. We're gonna get a new Fire Emblem, right? Like, we're due for one that they actually put time into. That isn't
right.
Yeah.
When did Engage come out?
Oh man, Engage came out like at this point 3 years ago.
Yeah. Just give me 3 houses too. You know what? Give me 6 houses.
Yeah, this was the January of 2023. So,
Okay.
and 3 Houses was July of 2019, and I think 3 Houses is 3 times the game of Fire Emblem Engage.
Yeah.
So they've hopefully had time to work on something and like make a really good game. That was like a marquee franchise for them for a hot minute with 3 Houses and then going back to Awakening and some of the games in between, and it's kind of fallen off a ledge. I don't think that Engage was like what they wanted it to be and what most people wanted it to be.
Right.
So
I feel that way.
So that being said, I think we get a new Fire Emblem at some point. I think that's probably a release window game where maybe that's like a holiday release at some point.
Okay. Yeah, that could...
or maybe early 2026.
Yeah, if it looks and sounds like 3 Houses, I'm in. I mean, I love Fire Emblem the series as a whole, but man, did I love 3 Houses. And that's definitely a game that could put me into the okay, I'm buying a Switch 2 now. Like as soon as that game comes out, like I need to have a Switch 2. As long as it kind of looks and feels more like 3 Houses did as opposed to like Engage or something.
Or give me like Awakening remastered.
Yes.
Oh my
or give me
lord!
Awakening remastered. That was so good.
That's one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, I remember I would play that game for hours, and like there's a lot of games where that come out where I feel like I don't like to binge games. I don't like to binge anything. I like to try and make things last as long as possible. And I do that with a lot of games, a lot of TV shows, movies. I will try to finish in one sitting, obviously. But Awakening, I just remember I had to play that game. Like it was all I thought about. It was all I wanted to do. I would play it for 5 to 8 hours and just be like, yes, I'm doing it. And it was awesome.
You want to hear a scary fact, Chris?
Hit me.
Remember, Fire Emblem Awakening came out when we were in college. That game turns 13 this month.
Yeah.
Woo! Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
April Fools, right?
April Fools. I think we get a new Pokemon game. I think that tomorrow, like, the one more thing, it's not going to be Legends ZA. I think we're going to get that.
Okay.
Maybe we get a little more info on ZA, but it's time for them to start hyping up, like, the next generation Pokemon game. And I think that has to be coming soon. It's like clockwork. They have so much that goes into Pokemon, from the cards to the games to the anime, and it's all based on a new region and new Pokemon coming out, and like that's how the machine functions. We're getting one soon. We are well past the point where they would have usually announced a new generation, and I think it has to be because it's a Switch 2 thing.
They're cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, but it has to be. So we know Pokemon Z to A is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
We know that's
ZA,
coming out.
ZA, not Z to A.
Okay.
Yeah.
ZA. We know it's coming out in the holidays of this year.
Yeah.
So a new Pokemon game would have to come next year at the earliest.
I think we get a new Pokemon game potentially at launch. But asterisk, I think the new Pokemon game that we get is a 2D 3D game and not a full 3D like what they've been doing. I think it is something that is going back to the 2D roots, but that looks like Triangle Strategy or like Bravely Default or one of these games that's like isometric 2D almost. And maybe it's a new generation. I don't know. Maybe it's a remake of or a demake of like Black and White. And
okay.
I think that could be super, super cool. Or we get, because we have ZA coming out and people are going to want to know the story before the holidays, I think it's actually likely that we get a remake of X and Y or like Pokemon Z at launch.
Yeah, I think they're due. I mean, they've remade just about every major Pokemon series at this point.
Black and White would technically be next, but with them doing this new game in like within the story or like as a sequel to X and Y, I think it makes sense for them to re-release X and Y in some way, shape, or form.
Okay, that'd be pretty cool. I remember X and Y, I never got into, but that was like, I mean, was I think, one of the series' many peaks. I think just from what I've read about it and heard about it.
Not well liked when it released, because the story people didn't love. I loved it. It was kind of like this like Brat Pack type of thing where you like went around. You didn't have one rival. You had like 5 or 6. It was awesome. It was amazing. Really, really loved that game, and maybe we get that. I think we also get like some announcement of like what the next big thing is, or at least a teaser for it. So yeah,
that'd be cool. I mean, yeah, I think of Pokemon, any showing of Pokemon that's not what we already know is coming with ZA, I think would go for miles.
Yeah. So a couple last ones, and then we'll get into maybe some ideas that we have, maybe some crazy outlandish things. I'm just going to run through these. I think we're due for a new Star Fox game. It's been since the Wii U, since we got like a real one. And I think it could be fun to like revisit Star Fox Adventures from the GameCube and like go back to that world with like Star Fox and Crystal, but really integrate like actual Star Fox and the land stuff. So it's like a little bit of both.
Oh, right. Okay. So
I think that could be really cool. I think F-Zero as a way to show off like a hardcore racing game with really good graphics. I think it's high time for that. They said that they didn't want to do it if it competed with Mario Kart, but Mario Kart still looks so like kiddie and like accessible. Let's get a game like F-Zero that looks really good and has like a deep story about Captain Falcon.
I'm on the internet. I know what the people want, and the people want new F-Zero. I just it's high time Nintendo gives it to them. It
is. Animal Crossing is bound to happen at some point. That game is too much of a cash cow for Nintendo, and it's been so long since the Switch version of Animal Crossing came out.
I think it was 5 years, 2020. It was like a COVID game.
New Horizons, right? Yeah, New Horizons. It's let's see when that came out. Yeah, March of 2020. Literally like right at the start of the pandemic. So I think a new Animal Crossing game probably bound to happen. Like that's such a big thing that I can't imagine that they wouldn't include something or at least an announcement, even if it's still like a year or two out. Like maybe that's a 2026 or 2027 game. But at least give it to me. Give me something. And then there's a lot of third-party games that could be coming, Chris. Persona. I think Persona 3 is going to be a release day.
That'd be cool. Yeah. I feel like, I mean, there has to be a number of third-party, games that come out on release day to be able to support this thing. I think, again, we already talked about FF7 Remake, and then give me Persona 3. People will love Persona.
It was announced, right? Like, they said it was coming to the Nintendo Switch family of systems at some point.
What was?
Persona 3.
Oh, I don't know. I might have missed it, but I haven't heard anything.
I'm pretty sure.
Because I know, obviously, it never made it to the Switch 1. And so I'm not really sure why, either. I feel like it maybe could have, but again, if maybe they were just trying to get it ready for the Switch 2, that's possible. But it's certainly, like, on the scale of, like, if the Switch 1 could do Persona 5, I don't see why it wouldn't be able to do Persona 3.
Yeah.
Reload, at least the new one.
So Persona 3, I think that's locked and reloaded. Got him. I also think that we get some of these games that maybe haven't been able to come to consoles, like RTS games, strategy games, like Civilization, Roller Coaster Tycoon.
We have a Halo on the list as well. Call of Duty.
I think, Phil Spencer's coming out during this, Chris. We're getting a Phil Spencer moment during tomorrow's Nintendo Switch Direct.
I have a prediction. If Halo is announced on the Switch 2, I will shit my pants.
It's pretty early in the day for you, buddy.
Yeah, I'll have my morning cup of coffee or two in me. I'll be
Usually
ready.
It doesn't happen until at least 10 a.m.
I'll be ready.
But I think we get Game Pass in some way, shape, or form. Because this is going to be the most eyes on a console in a very long time. And they've already expressed that they're putting Xbox onto different systems. They're putting it onto, they're allowing their games on Steam. They're allowing their games to go to different places. Master Chief Collection came to the PC. I think Xbox is at a point now where they're going full third party because they're just not doing great. They have a bunch of really good studios making them a bunch of money, and they're licensing the Xbox brand to portables and whatever else. So
refrigerators.
Yeah. You can play Halo on your fridge. But I do think that we're going to get Halo. I would almost guarantee we get Master Chief Collection on the Switch 2, along with a lot of other Xbox games, including maybe Game Pass at launch, because it's just time. It's happening.
That'd be pretty cool. It's something where, like, as a kid or someone, like, as a teenager, someone growing up, if you would have ever told me that Xbox was going to put games on Nintendo, I would have told you you're hilarious, and I would have laughed, and then I probably would have wrote it down in my journal or in my diary, and I would have said, to make an Anchorman reference, Joe had a very funny quote today. Joke.
Joke and joke.
And joke. Yeah, I think that's wild. The idea that it's probably going to happen. I mean, I've seen this pop up a number of places, and it just blows my mind.
I also think we get some Sony support. Sony is putting their stuff onto Steam. It doesn't look like they're in a place right now where they're going to be releasing another handheld anytime soon. Within their strategy, they're making these huge games. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense to put something like Helldivers 2, which is a huge game that has kind of not been doing so great lately. Give it more legs, get it into more hands. Mm-hmm. If more people play that game, great. And then if it does well, maybe we get Horizon, maybe we get, I don't know.
You could put God of War, even just the like PS4 version on game on there.
I also think from Microsoft, I think we get Indiana Jones on the Switch.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. That could maybe. I mean, they have a PS5 release date for it announced. I forget when that is, but yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to see that make its way around, even circling to Nintendo as well.
Great circling to Nintendo.
The great circle.
Some shoot for the moon things that could be really cool if they happen. Pokemon trading card game Pocket. Let's just put it on there. Why not?
Yeah.
I like that game. I play it every day.
You got a campus featured? Yeah, use it to play Pokemon TCG Pocket.
This next one is all you. I don't know how I feel about it.
Somebody mentioned for years people have been clamoring for like a Bloodborne kind of next gen version, or just a 60 frames per second update. If Bloodborne were to be able to like make its way into this presentation and on to the Nintendo Switch 2, I will shit my pants again if I haven't already at that point in the presentation. But going back to actually something more likely, kind of in the same vein, is possibly Elden Ring could be coming to the Switch 2, and that could maybe be a launch window, maybe within even the first 2 or 3 months. But yeah, I mean, people want Bloodborne, and then also to add to Chris's like wild wish fantasy collection of ideas is if they show Kingdom Hearts 4, just people want Kingdom Hearts 4, just even if it's not what's the word, even if it's just to say that it's coming to Nintendo Switch 2, and just give me like 10 seconds of new gameplay. I have been starving out here as a Kingdom Hearts fan for years now, since they released the 25th anniversary of Kingdom Hearts, or 20th anniversary of Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, I see that amiibo behind you, man. I see Sora. He's hanging out.
He's ready. He's ready for the spotlight. Just
Get him out of that box.
Just get him.
Put him in the spotlight.
Put him in the direct, please. Yeah, I don't think it'll happen. But if they did somehow, some way to show anything related to Kingdom Hearts 4, I would throw something in this room. I would rip Sora from his box and point him to the sky. It would
hold him up like Simba over Pride Rock.
Exactly. Yep, it would get pretty weird.
Lovely. I think we could get some. I mean, pie in the sky. I would love to have Steam. I would love to have
pie in the sky.
Would love to have Astrobot. I don't think those are possible. Astrobot is such a PlayStation celebration, and Steam is like. I don't think Nintendo's going to allow that to happen, to put all of these different games, even streaming, but it would be cool. Yeah. Game sharing with multiplayer would be fun. So, like, if I have... They've already kind of done this in certain scenarios with, like... I think Mario Wonder lets you do this to some extent, or you could download, like, a separate thing and play if your friend was playing. I would love that.
Right. Okay.
I think that would be super cool. VR. They did it with the original Switch, and that did not have a 4K screen. So, like, with a 4K screen, just, like, give me an attachment. If we're going to do the 3DS thing anyway, let me put this thing on my head.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
You never know. 3D. An accelerometer built in. Give me that 3DS slider on the side of the Switch, too, and let me get my eyes all crossed again.
See the vision.
It worked great on the new 3DS. I loved it. A lot of people thought it was like it made it motion sick, but I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And Kirby Air Ride. It's time. It's
time.
If Sakurai hasn't been working on Smash, give me a new Kirby Air Ride game.
I didn't realize that was him. I heard someone mention this the other day. I didn't realize he was the mind or head behind Kirby Air Ride, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure that was right after his game after Melee. Yeah. And that's why there were so many things, if you look at, like, on the 3DS and the Wii U versions of Brawl, how they had, like, the power-ups that were based on Kirby Air Ride, he, like, brought them over.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Pretty neat.
So, when does this come out?
Oh, I think it's late May. Yeah, early May? Late May. Middle of May. Late May. Late May. Early June. Late May.
I think late May, early June is a good call. I agree with you. I also think this could be, like, they're ready to go, and they've been making this for so long, like, they're going to give it to us in, like, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, it's certainly not going to be something that is going to be available, like, next day. Like, if it was going to be available next day, we would know. Like, retailers would have it. Pictures of it would be out. We would probably know.
Would it be, though? I mean, I think it would also be, like, kind of wild for them to do that and just have it all set up in the background, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, ooh. It would be like a cultural moment. Yeah.
But I think even, like, 2 to 3 weeks to be able to have it would be pretty crazy. Yeah. I think we talked about a bit about the price, but pre-orders. We talked a little bit about it before the podcast, but I think multiple reports indicated that some pre-orders could go live on April 2nd. Some pre-orders could go live on April 9th. I don't think it's going to
be tough.
I think both things can be true.
Are out right now.
Oh my gosh.
Like, they're locked into the same places that the Pokemon card thing going on right now. It's been so hard to find them everywhere. They're going to immediately hop over to the Switch 2. They're going to have bots buying the ever-loving bejesus out of it.
Yeah.
And I am super worried about that they're going to, like, make it impossible to get.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I think just a lot of hard work and goodwill, and I think anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
But
like Kevin Garnett.
Anything is possible.
Where are you gonna get yours from? Are you gonna go like Best Buy, GameStop? What are you trying to do?
Here's the problem. The problem is, I don't think a lot of these places will have it in store, right? I mean, we would expect that a lot of these places with a lot of higher demand products, they usually only sell it online and you get it shipped to you.
But there's something about a midnight release.
Yes,
you know,
and there's also something about, like, I know when the OLED Switch released, I was able to go wait outside of a GameStop nearby for mine to be played, to get my hands on a copy of it. And so I'm like, well, maybe they'll do the same thing. Maybe stores will get so many limited in stores and then also do kind of the whole online shipping directly to you thing. But I do like the almost excitement of going out for like a midnight release, like you said, or even just lining up outside, you know, at a GameStop, you know, at 5 in the morning.
So fun.
But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be. I mean, obviously GameStop's gonna have it, Best Buy's gonna have it, Target's gonna have it, all your major retailers are gonna have it, Walmart. And yeah, it's just gonna be whichever Nintendo's online store will have it, and will break and crash multiple times before anyone can get their hands on one.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that just wherever it's available. I mean, and again, to maybe drive home the point of, well, is this a day one buy for you? Like, or what do they have to show tomorrow to get you on board and to say, hey, yep, I'm in, I'm sold? What's minimum, I guess, requirements, I guess, sort of.
For me, it's happening. For me, it's happening.
This is a day one buy.
I think going back to, I mean, the Wii, not the Wii U, because I skipped that, but the Switch, whenever there's been hype behind a console and I've, like, been in a place where I can go and do it, I've done it, and so I'm going to do it. And okay. I know how the Switch launch went, and I'm getting flashbacks to 10 years ago or 9 years ago when I was, like, trying to find one, and I had to go everywhere. And then for months after that, when games were coming out that people wanted to play, you could find games, but you couldn't find the console anywhere. Sure. It was, like, out of stock. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think that I'm going to get it day one, because it's like I'm going to be able to play all of my old games on this anyway. And I have all these old games. You and I have both, you stood in line for the Switch OLED because you wanted your current games to look better. Even if the launch lineup is just Mario Kart and one other game, a Fire Emblem, and Animal Crossing, whatever. Even if it's like barely enough to get you there, my opinion is that I have all these old games that I'm still playing. I'm playing Paper Mario still and working my way through the Thousand Year Door. I haven't beaten Tears of the Kingdom yet. I want to, but I would love to be able to play that a little bit better. And even if the launch lineup is lacking, which I don't think it will be, I'll still want it day one, so that these games Mario Party, even if I'm playing Mario Party in my living room, if that looks a little bit better and runs a little bit better and has like a little bit of an update, it's worth it to me.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point. And like you said, it's, if you can get your hands on one, like, you know, everything will follow. You know, you're already in the door to, you know, the newest games that are going to be out in the coming months, all of the online stuff that's going to be rolling out. For me, I think if I got, obviously, again, just all assumptions aside, I think if I get Mario Kart, and this is day one stuff, day one here. If I get Mario Kart, Switch 2 versions of multiple games that I want to play, such as, most notably here, right off the top of my head, I want a Switch 2 version of Tears of the Kingdom, like you mentioned. I never beat it either, and I would love a reason to revisit it.
Oh, let's go.
Especially if it's updated visuals even slightly, and also, but most importantly, a 60 frame cap. And then also I want a Switch 2 version of Xenoblade Chronicles X.
I think those are both probably happening.
So we're Mario Kart, Switch 2 versions of a couple of games, and I want GameCube Online, or just GameCube and Wii Online, or just some. I need GameCube Online. And if they do more online, then that's great. Yeah. But I need GameCube Online, and I need it to feature 2 to 3 titles that I'm gonna want to play right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I think this culmination of like 5 or 6 things, 3 from a very outside overview perspective, I think then I'm kind of like, okay, this is a day one buy for me, and not a, well, let me see what else they come out with, or let me wait until the summer, when 3D Mario is coming out or something. If I can get those things, I think that's probably day one for me.
Beautiful. We'll know more soon, because this is happening.
What's happening?
This is happening at this point, like 9 hours. So, my guy, great podcast.
We did it.
Great show. We did it. It's all out there. People are gonna know. We called our shot. People are gonna be logging online tomorrow and be like, "Wow, Joe and Chris, look at them. Look at them. They knew. They had an inside guy.
They're from another world.
They had an inside guy. Joe went to Japan and made a bunch of friends, and Joe's uncle works at Nintendo and told him everything.
They all leaked it directly to him. And he's done a wonderful job of waiting till the night before to tell the world.
What do you know? What do you know? Who would have thunk it?
If you don't remember, the Switch 2 Direct, 6 a.m. tomorrow Western time. For us, it will be 8 a.m. Central
time, baby.
Central time, baby. And then 9 a.m. Eastern. I'm right. This is like, I didn't make this up. It's definitely 8 a.m.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. You're on it.
I gotta be up at 7:40-ish.
Oh yeah.
To get my bar and my coffee.
I'm making breakfast tacos. It's at your bar. You drinking?
No, like a little like Nature Valley bar or something.
Good for you. Good for you. So Chris, before you go, where can people find you to yell at you tomorrow whenever you're wrong?
They can find me on they can find me at CJ Darkangelo on multiple places. That's CJ DARCANGELO. You can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky. And those are pretty much the places.
And you can find me at Most Likely Joe. Same. Instagram, Blue Sky. Those are the main places. I'm on Threads sometimes, but I like Blue Sky more. Finger guns. Thank you for listening to the Playsound Podcast, everybody. This has been fun.
Big thumbs up to everyone.
Bye.
Bye.